As technology progresses, so do games along with it. Just a few years ago, we had games which looked very good, but now we have games that just look like a video filmed through a camera. Games have come a long way, especially in the graphics department, and they continue to wow us with new innovations. Even the games on the PS5 have continued to grow better and better, although the hardware remained the same for years. So today we are going to be looking into some of these incredible looking games that wowed so many gamers. The games on this list are not based on gameplay or the story, and some of them I even rate some of the worst games of the year. But these are purely based on aesthetics. If you have a good enough hardware and can play games on 4K or even 2K, then these are some of the ones you could try out. Silent Hill 2. If you're starting a list of games with Silent Hill 2, then you know there are some pretty good looking games in here. Remakes are intended to feed off nostalgia with updated graphics. However, not only did this title improve the visuals exponentially, they also made the game better. What I hated about the original game was the combat mechanics. Just run circle around the enemies and they will not be able to hit you a single time. Although the combat in Silent Hill 2 is not that difficult, it was such an improvement that it made an already beloved game of mine more lovable. Apart from the combat, the visuals of the game are some of the best in the industry. It's a shame that most of it is hidden behind dense fog. But the things you can see and inside buildings, the studio did a great job with it. This game has its fair share of performance issues, just like all the games in this list. So let me address that here. Unfortunately, with good graphics comes bad performance. Not even this title was immune from that. But now that a good time has passed, there have been a lot of patches which have made significant improvements in the quality of gameplay. This game came out on October 8, 2024. Horizon Forbidden West. The original Horizon Forbidden West for PS4 and PS5 came out like a century ago, but Sony recently decided to release most of its successful games on PC as well. The graphics for most of these re-releases got some major overhaul. Horizon Forbidden West was no exception. It was already a good-looking vibrant game with giant robot animals, the beautiful scenery, and different biomes. But with the changes, this game became even more beautiful. Also, because of the hardware capabilities of a PC, this game could reach its full potential while keeping its 60 FPS frame rate. Unfortunately, this game does not have ray tracing, which is a bummer as it would have looked so good. The different shining metal objects around the world for this game would have been spectacular. The one good thing I would say about this game is that I did not face any major issues while playing it on a PC. It's really interesting when you realize that this game was made while keeping the PS4 in mind. Check it out if you want a really fun, exciting experience with amazing visuals and epic robot animal fights. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 was an instant success, and it's easy to see why. No political or outside agenda, just pure fun. This game embraces pure chaos, with hordes and hordes of enemies to kill, and it's so satisfying. But even with all these fun mechanics, Saber did not cheap out on the visuals for the game. It looks amazing. While very few of the players will even notice it because of the constant attack of the enemy monsters, if you just pause and look at the environment and the objects, they did a really good job with it. It's also one of the best games to come out last year in my opinion. I had a blast playing this for hours and hours at a time, regretted my life choices after choosing the hardest difficulty, and just having a great time with friends. Henry Cavill, the former Superman actor, is now making a live-action show or a movie which will be coming out on Amazon Prime based on the Warhammer series, which should be a great one as well. Great gameplay, good graphics, and hours of fun. Sign me up. Black Myth Wukong. Did someone say something about great gameplay? Well, look no further. Black Myth Wukong was my favorite game of last year. It was such an addicting experience that I unlocked the Wukong stance, which you get by fully completing the game 3 times over. It's not that impressive, but for me to play a game 3 times over, it had to be something special. Although the gameplay is really good, the visuals of this game was something that wowed me every time I booted it up. It looked incredible. It was so incredible in fact that it was considered a scam when the first trailer came out. No one believed that the graphics of a game could be this good. Well, after many years of waiting, when the game finally came out, it blew the expectations of almost everyone. The Monkey King's journey, the environment, the gameplay, the combat, all of it was great. IGN had to find something not even related to the game to blame the company, and not to rank it higher. Sony Game Awards did make it a nominee, but they had to promote their own game, so they decided not to give this game the award. It was a controversial one, with a lot of Souls-like elements to it. Some people loved it, while some people didn't. But no one could deny that the graphics for this game were fantastic. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. I know Ubisoft has not been great in the recent years, and it mostly started with the Assassin's Creed series. It was also fueled by releasing the first ever quadruple-A game with Skull and Bones. While Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora is not the best game in the world, neither is it that good in my opinion. But I would be lying if I said that they did not make it at least visually appealing. I don't remember, but I think that I heard that James Cameron or someone said that this game was supposed to be canon, but I don't think that will ever happen because of its failure in the gaming market. The game concept and design was shown to James Cameron, and he said that he was really impressed with the design, but the end product they came up with felt lackluster. It felt like a Ubisoft game which people really got tired of, just in a new world. A beautiful world, but still inside Ubisoft's shell. The world of Pandora, the flying monsters, the giant trees were all made with great attention. So if you like Ubisoft open world games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla, you would love this game as well. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. By this point, we all know that Final Fantasy VII are good looking games, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is no exception. Some would say that the characters are not photorealistic, but it's not supposed to be that way. The character models, if you look closely, are some of the best rendered models in the industry. Even the environment is so well detailed. Unfortunately, due to it being on the PS5, it falls short of producing those super cool reflection shots and those realistic shadows. The almost 5-year-old machine could not handle that. But thankfully, Sony is releasing every good PlayStation game on PC, so when this comes out on January 23rd, it will have an even more amazing visual than it currently has, and that would be something to look out for. As for how good the game is, it was one of the best games released last year. It's the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake and the second part of the trilogy, which are all remakes of the original series from 1997. Talk about remake season. This game is definitely one of the best looking games out there, and I would love to see how it looks when it comes out on PC. Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 had a pretty rough start. When it was first shown off, it was hyped up to be the best game ever, with superstars like Keanu Reeves starring in a video game, making it that much more popular. It had photorealistic visuals, great characters, awesome city, and environment. I think I heard some people call it the GTA killer on Twitter. I don't know if it was everyone saying it, or was it just one or two people that called it that way. But the hype was real. Unfortunately, this game was really bad. They did, however, improve it a lot. They kept on pushing new patches, which improved the performance and quality of the game, made it feel like we are actually inside a city with people roaming in the streets, and a ton of improvements. They also made some of the best looking graphics settings, which even the 4090 had trouble running at constant 60 FPS. The reflections look so good when you turn on ray tracing setting, and with the DLC, they made the game fun to play and waste several hours in. They learned from their mistakes and actually wanted to make something which the players would want to play. Still Wakes the Deep. Still Wakes the Deep was a surprising entry for me last year. I was looking forward to playing it when I heard about it, but I never expected it to be this good. I really love playing this game. Set in a really unique location on top of an oil rig in the middle of the ocean, this horror game is really something to look out for if you haven't played it yet. Aside from the story, the graphics looks incredible as well. It mainly takes place in an oil rig, but the indoor elements and the various different objects look so good. And when we stepped outside, it looked amazing as well. The game is very well done, and it is rare in this genre. Most of the time we get a dark, gloomy place in the jungle or in an abandoned city where most of the parts of the game are almost pitch black. But the devs of Still Wakes put in a lot of effort in building the environment, which adds to the immersiveness of the game. It adds to the effects of various horror elements that they put inside the game. If you like the horror genre, you should give this one a try. Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws is another one of Ubisoft's title that had impressive graphics, and that might be all that this game had. It had a bad start with so many bugs and performance issues that it reminded me of Cyberpunk 2077. They have fixed a lot of them since its release, and they are still making changes to fix some of the other gameplay problems as well, which is good to hear because Ubisoft is not known to keep providing support for its game for so long. Apart from the gameplay issues, it had some great graphics. Ubisoft may not provide the best gameplay experience, but no one can say that their games do not look beautiful. From the different biomes to the space travels, they did a lot of work to do the movies some justice. Unfortunately for Ubisoft, it was not enough as this game did not sell nearly as many copies as it would like. Although they did sell 1 million copies, which is a lot, but seeing how much Assassin's Creed Valhalla sold, this number looked minuscule. That's why they are now trying everything they can to make Assassin's Creed Shadows as polished as possible. Graphics wise, I think Ubisoft are set for a few years. They have great environmental assets. They just need to focus on the actual gameplay and story. Nobody Wants to Die. Nobody Wants to Die is all about those graphics and beautifully rendered scenes that will keep the player's attention. Aside from that, there is not a lot to talk about this game. It's basically a walking simulator where you use your eagle vision to sense the clues and walk towards them and then press the button. It tries to incorporate some new and unique ideas like manipulating time with some kind of technology which lets them recreate the exact scenario which happened in a crime scene if they gathered enough evidence or those set clues. But the way they show it and the renderings that they make, the glowing lines, the shiny reflections, the floating cars, and the rain, all those look great. It's a good enough game if you want to chill and turn your brain off for a few hours. It's a very small game as well, so you can finish it pretty quickly if you want to give it a try. Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade is a super fun game with lots of cool elements to it that I really like. The most surprising thing to me was how much focus they had with designing the levels and the environment with this game. Most of the time with games like this, which have a lot of combat, hack and slash as well as Souls-like elements to it, they don't really make too much effort in designing super high rendered environments and objects. But Stellar Blade did a fantastic job with it. Most of the game is running around in desert looking biomes, but the various cyborg looking aliens make it more dynamic and interesting to traverse through. It's also impressive what they accomplished considering that the game is stuck on the PS5 hardware and still looks this good. If and when Sony decides to release this game on the PC, the visuals would look so much better. And last but not the least, the main star of this game is the main character, Eve. They focused on her a lot and it shows because of the way they rendered her dress and all the shiny reflections it gets throughout the whole journey. It's a super fun game with great graphics, so check it out if you want. Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is a great looking game. We all know that by now. Just look at these shots. Remedy did a lot to make this game as visually appealing as possible. It's mind-boggling as well because so many of the scenes of the game happen in the dark and under red light which severely obstructs visions, but still this game manages to look better than most of the games out there. Not only that, Alan Wake 2 has a really good story and gameplay as well. You play as two different protagonists, a detective named Anderson Saga and Alan Wake himself. The fusion of real shots along with rendered ones make the scene even more impressive. The characters themselves are really well made. They look almost the same as that of the real actors, which makes it feel even better when you transition from the real-time shots to the in-game scenes. But there is one mechanic of the game which is the mind palace of the characters, especially that of Saga. I would just say that it's too OP. I had a lot of fun playing the game, and if you haven't tried it out yet, I would highly recommend it. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This is one of the two games that work my GPU to its limit. Running this game on 4K Ultra is almost impossible without DLSS. Even the 4090 has to work overtime. But along with all these issues comes a game that is so beautiful that it makes you wonder whether you're playing a game or watching a video. It's just a great looking game with all the foliages, environment, characters and buildings. They created 1900s Egypt which looks so good. Even the starting scene, which was in a jungle, looked great. I was really impressed with the visuals, but it didn't disappoint in the gameplay department either. It definitely did the Indiana Jones legacy proud, because some of the previous games and few of the newer movies might have spoiled the name a bit. Unfortunately, this game came out just outside the window to be considered for the Game of the Year last year. I'm sure this game could have won a few awards in the Sony Game Awards. Senua Saga Hellblade 2. Almost all of us knew that this game would top the list. Senua Saga Hellblade 2 is like watching a movie instead of playing a game. The realism in this game is just absurd. Every environmental elements look like it was shot on a camera instead of being rendered for a video game. They even had an event where they showcased Unreal Engine's power to animate real expressions into the game characters by just shooting them from a phone camera. It used the full power of the engine, but we all know Unreal Engine is not very well optimized and games made with it are mostly filled with bugs and performance issues. And it was the same case for this game as well. There were so many performance issues with this game, even some of the more powerful cards like the 3080s were struggling in some areas. They did however patch a few of the problems, but I haven't logged in for quite some time now, so I don't know if they have fixed most of the issues. As for the game itself, it felt like a downgrade to first part in every way, well except for the graphics. The combat, short gameplay hours, and the story all made this game not very exciting for players, but if you have an Xbox Game Pass, then you could give this one a try for free. So these were the best looking games that we have so far. With new games coming out in the near future like Death Stranding 2, GTA 6 and so many more, this list will have to be updated. I like that even though some game studios focus so much on the gameplay, they do not overlook the importance of visuals as well. What do you guys think about this one? Do you think some other games deserve a spot on the list? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to know what are the best games that came out or are coming out in January, check this video. See you in the next one.